Hey everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Marketer Podcast. Every single week, we interview deep dive experts in one of the many fields of marketing to drop huge knowledge bombs for the best of the best and teach you how to take your marketing skills to the next level. This is episode 19, and I'm sitting with John Vishnesky, the absolute master of chatbots. He's a former contractor for Facebook. He left to start Nimble Fox Marketing, which is a messenger marketing agency. Some recent examples of wins is John's agency partnered with a fitness influencer where they ran a campaign that did 45x ROAS, and another campaign where he got 120 leads for a grand total of $40 for a local SMB. John, thanks so much for being here today.
Awesome to be here, Jeremy. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So first off, I want to start with the obvious, right? A lot of my audience is like social advertisers, right? A lot of them run agencies and things like that. You were a Facebook contractor. And specifically being a Facebook contractor, you were one of the people that calls us up and tells us to spend more money, right?
That's right. I was one of those reps that loved to be hated, I guess, or
one of the infamous reps.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what was that like before we dive into anything else?
It was a really enlightening experience for me, and it kind of gave me like this crash course on working with all these awesome marketers and businesses, all the way down to kind of like little local clothing shops that were just getting started and spent their first $500 on Facebook ads and didn't even know what they were doing. And so it kind of gave me like the inside view of what was going on here. And I also kind of got to see like what was working for certain industries and what wasn't working. And so it was super helpful in the way that I was able to kind of reach out to these different agencies and businesses and kind of give them ideas on the new kind of emerging Facebook technology that was coming out with like all these like new like lookalike audiences and carousel ads and fun stuff like that. But as far as going and giving them kind of marketing advice, there was definitely times where they were teaching me way more than I was teaching them.
That's funny. Yeah, it's interesting. You always hear like, because I'm fairly involved with like kind of the Facebook marketer community and stuff, and it's interesting how you hear just kind of like a really wide gamut of experiences that people have with the Facebook marketing reps. I'm sure like kind of the inside baseball would be fascinating to a number of marketers that I know and stuff.
Yeah, and it was very cool to kind of see the backside of things and also kind of be able to be on the forefront of all the cool new technology that Facebook was like starting to drop and like getting to kind of learn about that and kind of share that with the advertisers that I was working with.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so kind of getting into it, Nimble Fox, right? And tell me, like chatbots in general, this is such like an emerging trend and something that I've been excited about for a while, but honestly, I haven't known that much about. Like, can you kind of give me like the high level of like where are we at with chatbots at the moment? What's going on? And then like tell me about like how Nimble Fox got started.
Yeah, sure thing. So I got super into chatbots about a year and a half ago. I was kind of getting into real estate marketing, and I had some people in one of the marketing groups I was a part of that were just starting to use these bots for like open houses and to get conversations started with prospective buyers. And it was working really, really well because we were noticing how tough it was to actually get on phone calls. But if we were to start conversations inside of Messenger or shoot them over to an SMS and get a text going, it was way easier to get these conversations started that would then lead to them talking to the agents and purchasing. So I decided that I was going to kind of go all in on the bot thing. And at this point, I'm probably like 95% in bots. And then it doesn't work for every scenario. And so like you have to be able to be kind of nimble a little bit and be willing to kind of go and, do a sales funnel or a lead ad or something like that if it's not working. But in general, we're still seeing 80 to 90% open rates and 20 to 30% click-through rates a lot of the time for the messages that we're sending out to prospects.
That's incredible. That's a really interesting 80 to 90% open rates. I'm sure a lot of email marketers would kill for those sort of numbers. That said, what do you kind of see as like the state of the union of chatbots right now, right? Like what is happening? Like where have we come from? Kind of where are we at now in regards to how people are using them? You mentioned real estate, which I know is a really hot area for these chatbots, right? And but like, kind of understanding like more the mechanical side of it, like there's these platforms and things like that, like ManyChat and all that sort of stuff. And, just kind of give us a lay of the land.
Yeah, so I've been kind of a diehard ManyChat guy, and went to their conference this last year, and it was probably one of the best conferences I've ever been to, and it was just so amazing to kind of like have all these chatbot marketers in like one place, and it's like it seems like kind of like it might be kind of a small group, but like it was everyone is so hardcore about it and like really super into what other people are doing that's working and like the future of these things. And one, like from the outside you might think like chatbots, it's all going to be about AI and having someone like a robot that's going to like sell everything for you inside there, but in general what we're seeing is the more simplicity that you use, the better on these things. And so I see a lot of people in like Facebook groups that are making these really insane, humongous, and technical bots, but I just feel like a lot of times that's not what people are looking for whenever they're coming from, say, like a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad or something like that. They don't want to go through this gigantic thing. They want to get what you're offering them and get out of there. And so what I try to do is I try to keep it as simple as possible and bringing people through, they're called kind of flows, I guess, inside of ManyChat. And what that is it's whatever, like, say it's like whatever your lead generation flow would be, like a little sales funnel that's built inside of a messenger. And you get them in there, get their name, email, phone number if you're going to be doing that. And then what I think is most important is to not stop there and also incorporate this into other parts of your marketing funnel with, follow-up emails, follow-up text sequences, and then also take advantage of those open rates with your messenger sequence. And, you can do a lot of kind of entering people into your world and kind of getting more trust by kind of showing them a lot of kind of things that might help them in the following week or so after that they've kind of come in, and then just continue like showing them awesome content that they're going to love seeing. And as far as like where we're at in the chatbots timeline, I think we might be somewhere in the beginning to the middle section right now, because as like Facebook's always changing, and so you have to be kind of pretty malleable on these things. But I feel like there's still a lot of life left in it, and I know that Facebook's going to more of a messenger platform from what I've been hearing. And so I've even heard that, I don't know if it's false or not, but I've heard more about them kind of moving away from the timeline and more into like the actual, just more like focusing on messenger. So I'm not quite sure where we're at exactly, but I feel like there's still a lot of life left in it.
Well, there's still things like WhatsApp too, and things like that people don't like, are kind of taking for granted, like that WhatsApp is a Facebook property, and it's got an incredible amount of users. I don't know offhand, but I was reading that like in the US alone, it's like 1 in 10 people have WhatsApp, right? And that puts it, like WhatsApp above like Twitter and stuff like that, I think, even.
And that's not even saying like who's on WhatsApp across the world, where I feel like it's a little bit bigger, and a lot of Asian countries and stuff, right?
Yeah, it doesn't even have good penetration in the US, right? And it's still 1 in 10. Like the US is a lag behind with like WhatsApp adoption and things like that. And so, and not even to mention Messenger and everything else. So I think you're right. I think that like messaging is kind of the future. It's kind of funny. The internet's a little bit of like a flat circle of time, where we all started with like AIM, and then we went to like MySpace profiles and Friendster, and, now we're at Facebook profiles, and everybody has profiles on everything. And then we're like, oh, we start to go back towards messaging with like stuff like Twitter, and then we're into Messenger and WhatsApp, and it's Kick and all that stuff, and we're just back to one-on-one chats again and group chats and things like that. It's kind of fascinating. So let's say that I'm a marketer, I know just enough to be dangerous, right? And I'm like, all right, messenger bots, I think this is useful. I love what you're saying about like simplicity and things like that. I just want to make a better experience for people that are trying to find out like fast information, or, or I'm trying to get through like a pre-qualification sales funnel, something like, something simple, right? How do I go about making my first kind of messenger bot, right? Like conceptually, and then also practically, without getting into the weeds, obviously, like what sort of tools should I look at? What's the setup process like? And more importantly, what kind of mindset should I have when I'm like building these out?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. So, kind of like I mentioned earlier, I think like simplicity is a key in this, and you don't really need too much. Is another awesome thing about this. So, like a mini chat like pro account is $10 per Facebook page, and so it's super cheap, and that's per month. And that's all you really need. Besides, you can use a free Zapier account, and so that everything on the backside gets connected. There's a Google Sheets integration. So as far as like doing like a survey type funnel, kind of like you were mentioning, which is another really amazing thing you can do with these bots. So you can do ask certain questions that get funneled into a spreadsheet through Google Sheets, and then you can use those whenever you are like doing research for your customers, which is insanely important, and send that information to automated sequences in the backside. And certain people answer certain questions a certain way, they can get a certain email funnel or something like that.
So conceptually though, I'm thinking about, so like surveys or whatever, right? Like how do you find like the balance between what information to like put out there versus like hold back? You know, you don't want to overwhelm somebody and hit them with like walls of text and things like that, but how many steps is too many steps? Things like that. How do you think about like actually designing, you know, I think it's kind of a foreign idea to a lot of people to like design a conversation essentially, right? Like how do you kind of get in that mindset? How do you think about like making a messenger bot feel like human-ish? Or do you just avoid that altogether and just try and go all in on, you know, oh, this is a messenger bot, and like it's just going to help you find information, not try and mimic human behavior?
Yeah, so that's another thing. From what I've seen, you really don't want to kind of trick people with these things. You don't want them thinking they're talking to a real person. And so a lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually kind of give our bots a little bit of a kind of quirky little persona. You know, like I'm John's like marketing bot, and I'm here to, you know, give you this information you're looking for. Do you have any questions? Here's our testimonials. Here are case studies we have, and then, you know, just have all the information that's like very easily accessible. But if they're coming in cold from Facebook or Instagram, I think that you want to keep them in there for as short a time as possible. And a lot of times you're kind of building out these sequences. And usually what I'll do is I'll build it out in some sort of a flow chart beforehand to kind of get a good idea of what it's going to look like. But once it's inside there, you know, they should probably only be in there for like less than a minute, I think, a lot of times, because people are coming in cold. They're not going to have a lot of time. Sometimes they might be like stopped at in their car, like looking on their phone, or they might be, I don't know, they're going to be preoccupied with something else. And so you want to get their information as quickly as possible while they are actually in there. And so I try not to kind of make these big, long bot things. Like I might have like a sequence built out that goes out over a week or weeks, but in general, that first time that they're hitting this bot, I don't want them in there for that long. I just want to get their information as quickly as possible.
Interesting. So in your mind, like the purpose of a messenger bot is to simplify the delivery of information almost, right? And like the more that you can play to that, the better. Or like, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but like I'm, you know, trying to kind of read between the lines a little bit.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, you just want to, you know, you might have like 4 or 5 questions if you're doing a quick little survey funnel, and then, you know, on the end of that, get their email and their phone number. Which actually, another thing about these is that since it's connected to Facebook, it's already in there, and so all it is it's a button they press, and it says, "Yeah, this is my phone number, this is my email." Just like if you're doing like a Facebook lead ad, it's the same type of thing that's inside a messenger bot.
Sure. Oh, that's interesting. So there's a question actually that's kind of a good segue there is, what are you seeing as like, if any, differences between like a paid messenger campaign with Facebook ads versus like an organic messenger campaign with like people that like your page or whatever?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot smaller number of people coming in organically, unless there's already a gigantic page audience, which like I work with some fitness influencers, and a lot of them have these humongous audiences. And so a lot of times they're coming in and they're kind of going to message the page. They want to talk to the influencer, but they find this bot in there instead that says, you know, these are the workouts you can get. These are testimonials. These are our former students and stuff like that. And one kind of funny thing I found about that is I work with a couple of these kind of female fitness influencers, and we started getting a bunch of kind of creepy guys coming in from Facebook.
I think unfortunately I
And
met a few of these guys.
oh,
Ugh. No, yeah, not. I mean, I've worked with influencer accounts in the past as well. Like, I kind of,
okay, you know what I'm talking
yeah. So
about.
I know the MO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things with ManyChat is you can kind of set up like segments in there. So anytime a mail comes in, you can like cut them out of your list. And so that's what I did because there's no need for men to be on this messenger list. Like this is all for females. And so anytime these weird guys would kind of come here and start trying to message, I would just kind of like take them out of the list and like cut them out completely. And so you can do a whole lot of like tagging people that come in and like saying this person came in from my Facebook group, this person came in through a Facebook ad, this person like got this lead generation sheet that we put out, something like that.
So with inside the simplicity, right? This is an interesting aspect that I hadn't really thought of. Inside the simplicity, you do want to customize the funnels for who these people are and where they're coming in from.
Oh, most definitely. So like a lot of times it'll be really great to like maybe like the day after they come in, maybe ask them a few questions on some sort of like ask survey. Like, are you more interested in learning about diet? Or are you more interested in learning about fitness? Are you interested in like prenatal fitness? Like something like you go really kind of deep in that kind of stuff. And then that way, when you're sending out these messenger broadcasts, which are free to send out as long as you're not promoting something, you can send out promotional things as long as someone has interacted with your bot in the last 24 hours. But in general, you can send out like helpful information, and so you could find out, this person is interested in, like I said, like diet more. And so like if you had like some sort of like, hey, it's a new recipe we have out. If you want to check it out, go here. And then that would go to their website and something like that.
Oh, interesting. So like a flow could be like with those blast and to clarify, those blasts are for people that have ever messaged you in the past, or is it just like anybody that likes your page?
Yeah. So anyone who messages you. And so like if they're coming in through your Facebook page and they're like messaging you and they click into the bot and it opens up, they're automatically subscribed. Or if they come in through a Facebook ad and it's say like there's different ways of bringing people in, but a lot of times it might, if it's just a URL kind of way to coming in, it'll say like get started. They press that, they'll be in. Or if you do like a keyword or something called a JSON, which is another way of kind of connecting your bot to your Facebook ad, if they kind of click anything inside there, they're automatically subscribed. So they just have to like have like one action and then they're subscribed.
Okay, so they have to have one action and they're subscribed. But like, so to go back to your kind of flow that you were talking about, right? It seems like the strategy then would be to send out, on a semi-regular sort of basis, maybe not too much because you don't want to like annoy everybody to death, but like once a week you send out like one of these like informational blast or something like that, right? Like, oh, if I'm a fitness influencer, right? Like, oh, this is an article I wrote about diet hacks or something like that, right? And then if somebody interacts with that, you'd be able to know and then send them a follow-up message being like, hey, I saw that you really liked my article about diet hacks. Would you be interested in checking out my like $9.99 a month diet club or something like that, right? So you use these like kind of high level sort of broadcast in order to then like figure out what subgroup everybody's interested in, like what subgroup or like why specifically they're interested in based on like them opting in. Is that like kind of a fair way of like setting up a funnel? It's interesting to me.
Yeah, it's very, very akin to like, email marketing where you want to get your entire audience kind of segmented out. And I think it all works very well. And like you can like do connections with this with Zapier so that, your email list and your bot list are all kind of connected and they're tagged up and the right people are receiving the right things. Because if you do start sending out lots and lots of these kind of broadcasts and people are saying, no, I don't want to see this, like you're going to get in trouble with Facebook at some point. Like if they're saying like too many people are saying they're not wanting to get this or they're unsubscribing too much, your rating's going to go down. So you want to make sure that, just like you're not kind of spamming out emails to your entire list for things that aren't relevant to them, you don't want to do that inside of your bot either.
So what is like the right amount of broadcast to send out? Like, in your kind of opinion, what have you seen kind of that works?
I think, like you said, once a week, I think is really good. Yeah, I think that because, like, for myself, I mean, I'm really into these things, and so I do subscribe to a decent amount of like little marketing kind of chatbots and stuff. And there's times whenever like I'm getting one like every day, I'm like, all right, unsubscribe. I'm over this.
Yeah. I don't care how relevant your information is. You can't keep bothering
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Because that's the thing, like with these messenger things, like they pop up, like I don't have notifications on my phone anymore just because of how tough it makes it to stay on track during the day. But if I did, these would be popping up every day on my home screen. And so I think that maybe once a week is really good. And these kind of broadcasts are also really good if you have like an audience, like for yourself, for you've got a new podcast that's out, or there's a new relevant article on Reddit. You can send out a broadcast to your list who is interested in those certain types of things you're talking about. And I do that inside my Facebook group. I've got a Facebook group called the Chatbot Agency Ninjas, and we do like a lot of like interviews and like Facebook Lives inside there. And so what I'll do is, as soon as we're about to go live, I'll shoot out a messenger list and say, hey, about to go live with this person, talk about this, click here if you're interested in learning more about this topic. And it does tend to kind of get a lot more eyes on it, especially when you're trying to do lives and get a lot more people on at one time.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. So that's interesting. Like you're talking about just kind of the various ways that one could use these chatbots, right? Because you've mentioned surveys and things like that. I think a lot of people, though, are you like e-commerce is something. Have you seen like what do you see like that's working for e-commerce? Just a lot of people, and like what are you seeing that's working for lead generation too? That's a like a hot topic, right? Like it's cool to like and definitely super useful to like message existing fans and like sort them and like deliver kind of like more value to people that are kind of in the funnel already. But a lot of people, are also interested in that kind of cold. How do you see that kind of working?
Yeah, so a lot of people with like say like Amazon like FBA products will use this to rank them. And so what they can do is you can like set up a coupon code inside there that would go out. So you can send it out to your list or to your cold traffic that's coming in through there and say, hey, go ahead and purchase this with this coupon code and you'll get 40% off. And then what you can do is say 7 days later, after they've already received their product, they've kind of had a chance to check it out. You can go in and ask them, hey, how are you liking it? Do you love it? Do you like it? Are you hating it? And then if they love it, you might say, hey, it would be really awesome if you went in and, gave us a review on this. And if they liked it, what could we do better? And if they hated it, you definitely don't send them to review it. And you say, hey, okay, what can we do to make this better? Like how can we fix this for you and give you, money back or something like that. And then also you would be able to tag that person saying they like this certain kind of product. And so next time you're doing some sort of a promotion on a similar product, that that's someone who you can reach out to. And like I said earlier about the 24-hour kind of promotional period, you can still pay for posts that go out to lists. And so you can have a paid traffic that would go out even if it wasn't within 24 hours to like that same person and say, hey, we're also doing something with beach balls right now. I know you bought a towel before, something like that. I don't know.
No, that's interesting. And then like kind of the other side of it, e-commerce, but then like the lead generation, kind of what are you seeing with like, you mentioned like real estate and things like that. Are you doing that like at the individual house level? Are you creating bots that are like, oh, find the perfect house, things like that? Tell me more about that. That's interesting. The real estate stuff.
Yeah. So for real estate, I've found two ways that I normally stick to that work really well. And one is you just find a really awesome house that, say, an agent wants to promote, and you tell them very minimal amounts about it on the ad and show them a couple of pictures and say, click into the ad to get more pictures, get price and location, and learn more about the house. They go in, it tells them a bit more about the house and say, do you want price and location? And they click inside there. You get their email, their phone number, and then you give them the location and all that stuff. And then you try and get them to chat with their agent at that time. If not, you send them an automated text. You drop them into your email sequence. And then you can also now set up custom audiences for people that have kind of gone into your bot and, got to certain spots. And so you can start doing remarketing ads there and keep showing them like other houses as well. And the other one that I really prefer is just a list of homes ad. And so you say, hey, you just kind of, you can like do a large blanket of a full town and say, like, I'm in Austin. So go around a certain area of Austin or a full area of Austin, say, hey, would you like a list of homes in the Austin area that are under whatever the median price point is? And we'll make one for you exactly to your specifications. And so they click inside there, and then we ask them some questions. So we'll go like, how much do you want to spend for a house? When do you want to move? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Certain part of town you want to live in, and then you can get their name, email, phone number from there, and then you have all that information. So once you start reaching out to them, you can incorporate that.
Oh, interesting. And then you just show them like examples of the house that they really like and stuff like that based on their specs.
Yeah. So like a lot of times I'll see a lot of these people kind of saying like, oh, how do I link this up with the Zillow API and automate all this stuff? And like, I mean, that's pretty neat stuff. And it's cool that you can do all that. But in general, I think that the objective we have here is to get someone on the phone and get a conversation started. So I would rather, instead of kind of automating all that, I would rather have the agent put together a quick list and like reach out to this person and say, hey, here's the list. I'll text it to you. Can we jump on a quick call about it? And so I think it's awesome to be able to automate things like that, but it's also, you don't want to take the human element out of it too much either.
Absolutely. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. That's so interesting. So with all of this that we've been talking about, which is cool, and I've actually learned a lot on this as well, what are you seeing people do with messenger bots that you just despise, that you wish they would stop, you wish they would go away, never do it again? And then what are some things that you're seeing that people are doing right that you wish they would do more of, that you think are absolutely crushing it? Just some like actionable takeaways and stop that takeaways, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually have a free guide that I put together for your audience that I was going to send over that kind of goes along these lines. It's called the 5 Deadly Bot Sins to Avoid for a Hyper Profitable Chatbot Campaign. And, it covers a lot of the kind of things that I kind of mentioned before and more in depth about, like don't try and trick someone when they're in there. Don't like say, hey, John, this is John, and I'd love to ask you a few questions or something like that. Like, because they're going to figure it out that it's automated and in it, because like they're going to ask a question that like goes off script and you're not going to be able to answer it and something like that, which, at some point that might be a more seamless situation. But right now, I don't think it's a good option. And other things, like I said, kind of like don't be building out these like humongous kind of chatbots that are like gargantuan and have all these different things that could go wrong with them, like with going through the API. Because I've noticed like these things aren't like always going to be 100% working, and the more moving pieces, the more chances you have of something breaking. And you don't want to be like spending money on traffic and sending people into these things and it either confusing them or breaking them and they leave. You want to take advantage of those people that are interested in what you're putting here. And as far as kind of like what's working really well, I think it's just being like super helpful, and like with your follow-up, send out helpful information to people and don't just like bring them in and like forget about them once they're there. Like you want to continue sending them, text messages and automated messages inside the bot where, they're going to receive kind of awesome things that are going to make them want to like fall in love with you more as a business and trust you more. And I think just provide value,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I love that. So, John, just want to say thank you so much for taking the time today. Like I said, I've learned a lot. I know that my audience will have learned a lot. Chatbots and messenger bots and stuff like that. I don't think they're going away. I think they're just going to grow and grow and grow, whether it's on Facebook or something else, whether it's websites or whatever. I think chatbots are here to stay, and I think they're going to become more ubiquitous. So get on the train early. But John, really, truly, thank you again. I always let my guest at the end here pitch anything that they want. So for 1 or 2 minutes before we sign off. So have at it. I've had everything from charities to businesses, obviously, and all sorts of different things.
Yeah, no, Jeremy, this has been really rad. I really enjoyed being on here. But about that free guide that I mentioned, so you can just go to bit.ly/weekly marketer bot, and that'll bring you into a little chat bot, and I'll give you your guide inside there. And yeah, you can go inside there. You can ask it any questions, and I'll get back to you inside there. And yeah, I think if y'all are interested in checking out chatbots, look up mini chat. It's they have a lot of really great information to kind of learn about how these chatbots work. Or if you're interested in joining a group about it, I've got the Chatbot Agency Ninjas Facebook group, and we'd love to have you in there.
I'm going to definitely join right after we hop off this. So, John, thanks so much for being on here again. For everybody out there listening, happy marketing.